Adela, the Inquisitor is going to try JOHANKA in court.
Oh, Lord. I hope she's acquitted. I was absolutely devastated when they took her away.
I need people to speak in her defense, and I'd like to ask you to do it.
I don't want to go there. Really. I'm afraid of that Inquisitor. But you helped me, and so did JOHANKA. It's only right that I should try and help her. But what am I supposed to say there? I'm just a simple village girl. I don't know anything about these things.
That doesn't matter. You just be yourself. It should be enough to talk about all the good JOHANKA does here, and how she helps others. I'll send for you if you're needed.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Did you see His Lordship the Margrave parading through?
Is that who it was? A sight to behold indeed. Who's he now?
Margrave Yops.
The Margrave of Moravia. King Wenceslas's cousin. That was him.
Aye, the very same.
God in heaven. Judy will never believe me. I saw Margrave Jobst. I knew the minute I saw him it wasn't no ordinary baron. That big company of his in all their finery.
Brother Nicodemus,
You've heard something?
the Inquisitor has decided that JOHANKA will be tried, but he's agreed that I can defend her.
That's really quite unusual. It must mean he hasn't come to a clear conclusion yet.
Yes. I'll get her out of it.
I'm afraid it may not be that easy. The thing is, I expect JOHANKA will say the same things before the court that she's been preaching.
What are you saying?
Well, I've been thinking about what she's been saying, and it seems to me her preaching has a certain progression. Are you acquainted with the notion of the three orders of man?
Not really, no.
It's like this. It's said that everyone has their God-given place and purpose on earth. Laboratores, oratores, and bellatores. Those who work, those who pray, and those who fight. The common folk are born to work, to reap the fruits of the earth and to obey the laws of God and man. It is the purpose of the nobles to protect the people and the church against all dangers and to maintain peace and justice on earth. And the church in turn has the task of caring for the spiritual welfare of all, ensuring the salvation of their souls and bringing solace to the people in times of hardship, so that they can endure their earthly trials and enter the kingdom of heaven.
But what's all that got to do with JOHANKA?
Well, I noticed in her first sermon she primarily addressed the concerns of the common folk, and in the second she criticized the nobility.
Ah. So you think she might start talking about the church?
Yes, I'm afraid she might. I dread to think how that might end up. Henry, you must warn her against that. She must show humility before the Inquisitor, and the wisest course would be to admit to being wrong. She's rather stubborn, but perhaps she'll listen to you.
But the Inquisitor said no one's allowed to see her.
No one except the Inquisitor's own men. You'll just have to think something up. I'm afraid JOHANKA's fate is mainly in your hands now. I'm relying on you.
Take care now. Greetings. What business have you?
We came at the last moment.
True. I feared the worst. I had to flee from the Turks once. But this was an even closer shave. But as for our misfortunate Master Fafer, I fear you may have come too late. I examined his wounds and, I'm not sure he's strong enough to pull through.
That is too bad. Too bad that you weren't able to escape on time.
Yes, Sir Capon took fright, understandably for someone his age. But not to worry, a little practice in killing foes will put steel in him.
How do you like it here, Master Keezer?
It's quite satisfactory. Indeed, it's more than satisfactory. I have to commend Master Fafer for his diligent supervision of the construction work. His extensive knowledge of mechanics is proving most useful. He has the makings of quite a competent siege master.
I don't think he's yearning to become one. His life's mission has been to manage the mines.
We'll see if he feels the same after he has a crack at firing our trebuchet. It's a sight to knock the wind out of any man, especially if he's standing too close.
I know about you and her. She told me everything.
Oh? What exactly do you mean? You'd better be very careful what you say, boy.
I know you're a married man, but you haven't always been entirely faithful to your wife.
How dare you!
And you had to pick JOHANKA. I know all about it. And you should know it's finished. JOHANKA was feeling vulnerable when it was all too much for her. That's all. She and Matthias care for each other, so leave them alone. She doesn't want to have anything more to do with you. And she won't.
How dare you speak like that to a noble? You, a blacksmith's brat from Skalitz. If you weren't in Lord Kobila's charge, I'd have you whipped for your lies and dragged behind a horse all the way to Ratai. But whoever you might be hiding behind, next time I'll do just that. Now get out! Bye-bye. What are you here for?
I need something from you, sir. I suppose you heard that JOHANKA was locked up by the Inquisitor and is facing charges of heresy.
I did, and it's most disturbing news.
What you might not know is that he's agreed that I can defend her at the trial.
You? Do you even know what to say?
Well, I'm preparing for it. I'll think up something, don't worry. But I need you to testify at the court. In JOHANKA's defense, of course.
Naturally. You don't think I could just sit here and do nothing? Besides, the bishop has already insisted that I appear before the court.
Oh. All right.
One moment. I apologize if I was a little hasty. This whole affair has left me anxious. I appreciate that you want to defend her. However, I don't think it would have any effect. No offense, but I don't think you'll be able to achieve anything in court. I'm afraid the Inquisitor will judge as he sees fit, whatever anyone says. But I have an idea how you could help.
Oh? How's that?
Flee. With JOHANKA, of course.
Huh. You might be right. But how? The bishop won't let anyone see JOHANKA.
JOHANKA is being held at the rat house, isn't she? You could pass yourself off as one of the Inquisitor's men, get in there at night, and escape with her.
I don't know. Sounds very risky. If I were caught, Johanka would be condemned, and me along with her.
Think about it. But whatever you decide, if Johanka comes to any harm, you'll have me to answer to. I'm very fond of her, and her of me, and I don't want anything to happen to her, understand? But if everything ends well, I'll show you my gratitude, I assure you. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodman Pavel, you're still here. That's a relief. I was afraid I'd miss you.
Ah, Henry. What would you like from me? Maybe you'd like to rob me of what I have left, or what is it this time?
What on earth do you mean?
You stole half of the money you were supposed to donate. You robbed me, lied to me, and dishonored the Blessed Virgin on whose behalf Johanka spoke.
You're accusing me falsely. I donated the money I found in the place you described, and it wasn't easy to find either.
You mean half of the money I put there?
Half? What are you saying?
Don't think you can fool me. When it comes to coin, my memory is flawless. I remember exactly how much was there. 90 score groschen.
Well, then someone must have found it earlier and taken some.
Someone finds treasure and takes only half? Very fishy, I'd say.
No, not at all, actually. A lot of footpads think if they leave 1 groschen for every groschen they steal, it will absolve them of their sin, and they can line their purses with a clean conscience.
Well, there is a certain twisted logic to it. I know some merchants who think just like that. All right, Henry. I admit I jumped to conclusions.
Good. Now we've got that settled, there's something I'd like to ask of you. The Inquisitor has locked up Johanka. She's accused of heresy. I'd like to ask you to speak to the court in Johanka's defense.
Of course, Henry. You have my word. And the word of a burgher of Colleen ought to mean something. But to speak in defense of someone accused of heresy is no small matter. What do you want me to say?
The same thing you told me. That it was a sacred sign that you happened to be nearby when Johanka was speaking, and so on.
True. I'll tell the bishop that. You can rest assured.
Thank you very much. Please wait here a few more days for the court to convene, then I'll send for you.
All right. For Johanka's sake, I'll wait. Good luck, then.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hey! Henry's come to see us.
Master Bailiff, Inquisitor Yaroslav is going to try Johanka.
I know. He was here asking questions, too.
Oh? What did he want to know?
Various things. Like how things are here, whether people are honest, whether we observe the fest days, and so forth. And then he asked about Johanka. About what she preaches, whether people come to listen to her and that. He's been talking to a lot of other people in Sasau, too. I even heard that Katra, the swordsmith's wife, invited him to dine with them.
That's interesting. Thanks for telling me. Was he just asking questions, or does he want you to testify before the court?
Yes, he did ask me to testify, and I'm none too happy about it.
I see. And what are you going to say about her?
It depends what I'm asked, but there's not much I can say. I don't know Johanka very well. She seems virtuous and self-sacrificing to me. She's never done anything wrong, and no one here ever had a cross word to say about her, until recently. Maybe some gossip about her and Sir Sebastian. But I've heard similar talk about half the women folk here.
Johanka has helped a lot of people here, selflessly. Her heart is in the right place.
True. But then there's that preaching of hers. Folk have been falling out. They're split according to whether they believe Johanka or not. I don't know quite what to think of it myself. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'll wait and see what the learned bishop has to say.
Couldn't you add something good to your testimony for Johanka? I would, show my gratitude substantially.
What? Are you trying to bribe me to commit perjury? The Inquisitor will hear how you're going about defending Johanka.
Good Lord, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I expressed myself badly, that's all. What I was trying to say, rather clumsily, is that I'd be very glad if you were to speak on Johanka's behalf, because she really deserves it.
Well, I'll overlook your clumsiness then.
Thank you, Master Bailiff.
I'll see you later.
See you later.
It's hard to resist. You're not my letter lead anyway.
Hey, clear off. No one's allowed to talk to Johanka. Bishop Yaroslav's orders.
I know. I was just testing you. And you passed. I'm with the bishop's entourage, and I'm here at his command. Let me in to talk to JOHANKA.
How come I didn't see you with him when he arrived then? Bugger off and try your tricks somewhere else.
Father, the Inquisitor has had JOHANKA thrown in jail.
I know, son.
He's planning a hearing.
Rightly so. It's about time this whole matter was dealt with.
What do you think about it, then?
As I say, it's a good thing that the matter is being investigated. The things JOHANKA has been preaching are, to say the least, disturbing. Who knows what these dreams are that she speaks of? And her words are only putting ideas in people's heads and leading them astray. Now, instead of going to church, as they should, they go to her in the false belief that they will find solace. It's creating a chasm between the people and the church and leading them away from the true teaching left to us by Christ. They're misguided and swamped in heretical ideas.
But JOHANKA is only saying what the Virgin Mary has told her. What can be wrong with that?
And how do you know the Virgin is really talking to her?
Well, I believe she's telling the truth.
Ah, but you can't be sure, can you? Do you really think a girl from the stable knows God's teaching better than the church? Better than the generations of church fathers and learned scholars since the time of Christ, who have studied the sacred scriptures and their correct interpretation? With all the evil that's already going on in this province, the last thing people need is a false prophet.
Christ also came from a stable, though.
There's no comparison. Christ was the Son of God. Enough of this. Bishop Yaroslav asked me to present my suspicions before the court, and that's what I intend to do. He will then resolve the whole matter. He is, after all, more qualified than anyone to do so.
If you say so, Father.
Good luck to you.
Greetings, Henry. Well, how did it go with that husband of mine?
Well, I tried all sorts of things. I did everything in my power. But nothing helped.
Oh, Henry. You were my last hope. All I can do now is pray to the Virgin Mary for a miracle.
I need your help with something. I'm sure you've heard. JOHANKA was locked up by the Inquisitor.
Who hasn't? The whole of Sasso is talking about it. And the Inquisitor was asking around about her.
I'd like to ask you to appear before the court and say something in JOHANKA's defense.
I understand, but you'll have to forgive me. I don't want to show my face there. Never mind speak for JOHANKA. I wouldn't want people to associate me with her. What with her being a heretic, see?
People and their evil tongues. But I understand. It's a tricky business. I won't push you.
Yeah.
I'm here about JOHANKA.
You're that fella of hers, are you? What do you want?
No. I'm just a friend of hers. Matthias is her, fella.
Huh. God knows how many she has.
I heard you invited Bishop Yaroslav to come and dine with you?
Yes, so what? Bishop Yaroslav is an esteemed visitor to Sasso, and it's only fitting he should be suitably hosted by devout burghers.
And what did you talk about?
What we discussed with the Monsignor is none of your business.
What have you got against JOHANKA?
Nothing. The question is, what has she got against us? Tell me that.
What?
She turns up here and tries to tell us how to live our lives. Says the Virgin Mary whispers to her in the night. Yeah, I'm sure. To a simple village wench. I'd like to know who's really putting those ideas in her head. She's just getting people all worked up. Men, especially. Coming around here with her nonsense. Sasso is a decent, orderly place, I'll have you know. We don't want any trouble here. All this talk about hellfire and the end of the world. God have mercy. No one is interested in what she has to say. All they want is some spectacle. She ought to have thought twice before she started. Not that she wasn't warned.
What do you mean, warned?
As I said, she was told.
Damn it, woman, tell me what you meant by that.
I didn't mean anything by it.
Out with it!
if you must know, some of the fellas want to have it out with her and tell her to stop. No one wants her speeches here. But would she listen? No. The devil possessed her to bring harm to us.
So it was you who sent those men?
All I wanted was to protect the Sasau folk against her poisonous tongue. And I'll do just that. The Monsignor asked me to testify in court. And I'll tell everything I know there.
And I'll do likewise. Farewell.
Go. God be with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Monsignor, I've heard of various irregularities in the province that might be of interest to you.
Very good, my son. A good Christian certainly shouldn't conceal such things. Please, speak.
A demon's skull was found on the church building site.
Yes. I heard something about it. A disturbing report. Tell me what you know about it.
It was a deception, sir. Someone made it with evil intentions, to frighten people. I found the skull and brought it to the local knacker. He confirmed it was a human skull with animal horns stuck on.
You did the right thing, Henry, in uncovering the deception and in telling me about it.
There are interesting things going on inside the monastery.
In the monastery? What kind of things?
The monks in the monastery are very concerned with the election of the new abbot. There's a lot of scheming going on over it.
But how do you know about it? How does a servant of the royal hetman come by knowledge of the confidential affairs of the Brotherhood of Monks?
I caught wind of it. I heard it from a novice that the brothers were sending out at night to buy wine for them.
I see. And what was the name of this novice?
Yodok.
There is a novice of that name at the monastery. I shall have to speak to the prior about these matters. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. If you've nothing else to tell me, you may leave.
Some women in Uzhitz went to the herbalist for magic ointment. Then they went to the woods, smeared this ointment on themselves, and engaged in all sorts of incantations and spells.
What? Witchcraft? God have mercy. They must be brought to justice. Who is this herbalist they visited?
Not to worry, Monsignor. Father Godwin put a stop to it.
Well, that's good news at least. Witchcraft will not be tolerated under any circumstances.
The former parish priest of Rovna, Father Simon, went missing one day. Everyone thought he'd fled from the province, but in fact he just went to the woods and became a hermit.
I see. Why did he do that?
Because he got some girl pregnant. The child died during birth, though, and the mother too. He took it to be retribution for his sin. So he fled far from people, because he didn't feel fit to be their pastor anymore.
That's very interesting indeed. Where is this Father Simon now?
I tracked him down in the woods and talked him into going back to Rovna. They needed a parish priest there, and Simon was convinced taking on the task would make amends for his sin.
Interesting. Father Simon's story is certainly remarkable. Whether his actions are appropriate for a cleric is another matter, of course. Thank you for telling me about this.
Well, the parish priest in Uzhitz is rather unorthodox. Not that he's a bad person, not at all. He takes good care of his flock, no doubt. It's just that he drinks quite a lot. In fact, he's even said mass while drunk. And, he keeps a concubine.
That distresses me. All the more so because what you describe isn't at all unique amongst the clergy. Thank you for telling me, Henry. Matters like this certainly must be addressed.
That's all, Monsignor.
All right, Henry. Thank you. But I hope you're not keeping anything from me.
Why did you have JOHANKA imprisoned?
I talked to her for a long time about the things she was saying and about her convictions. I warned her that she had to stop preaching in public, and I told her if she had any further concerns, or, as she claims, visions, she should come to me. JOHANKA chose to ignore my warning and continued with her preaching. Obviously, I couldn't turn a blind eye to that kind of disobedience.
Monsignor, JOHANKA is just a simple village girl from Scalif. Are all these legal proceedings really necessary?
They are. The mission of the Inquisition is quite unequivocal, and however trivial, this matter has a broader significance.
What broader significance?
No offense, but these things can't easily be explained to an uneducated boy like you. Still, I'm pleased that you take an interest. Unfortunately, I don't have time for this now. If you really want to know more, ask my assistant. After all, it is also our duty to guide others through the labyrinth of this world.
But what's so bad about what JOHANKA has been saying?
Look here. It's simply unacceptable that anyone at all should come along and stand up in the market square and preach about God's will or how he or she interprets it. God gave us his teachings, which we must honor, and he showed us how to fulfill them. It is only those teachings that lead us on the path to salvation and God's grace. But understanding those teachings is no simple matter. It demands learning, time, and effort. That is one of the tasks of Holy Mother Church. What JOHANKA has been saying is dangerously close to heresy. She must be brought to see the error of her ways, and her disruptive actions must cease.
But JOHANKA hasn't done anything against God. On the contrary, she's devout, and she's trying to redeem sinners.
Perhaps, but she's also incited disobedience to the nobles, and that is a serious accusation. Think of it like this. You have to pass through a dark forest filled with hazards. Many paths lead to that forest, but only one will lead you safely through it. You know which is the right path, but others don't. Would you show them the right path, or leave each to choose his own and very likely lose his way?
I'd show them the right path, but it would be up to them whether to take it or not.
But then many would lose their way and die. Because of you. Where it concerns God's mercy and grace, we cannot allow that to happen. You must understand that it is the mission of the Church to care for the soul of every person. It is our sacred duty to lead the people to salvation.
How does the Church know which is the right path?
Watch how you speak, Henry, and how you consider such matters. God is the fountain of truth, and he is represented on earth by his holy Church, and none other. The Church was built on the foundations of Christ's apostles, who passed on his wisdom to others, as they passed on the task of leading people to the love of God and thereby to salvation. Do you think the Church would now want to lead the people to damnation? That we would consciously corrupt the task that the Son of God passed on to us? We would be condemning not only the people, but ourselves too. It would extinguish the very sense of our existence.
You're right, Monsignor. Sorry, all this learning at once was a bit much for me. I got confused. I apologize. Thank you for having the patience to explain it to me.
Good. I'm glad I've dispelled your confusion. I will excuse your error. But in future, do not be misled, because that will open your mind to Lucifer himself. And that's the very reason why JOHANKA was wrong to indulge in philosophizing and leading people astray. Good luck to you.
Witnesses can be summoned for Johanka's trial. So I wanted to ask you if you'd give a testimony. Maybe some learned speech in her defense?
I'd be glad to do it. Johanka deserves my help. Such testimonies could carry a lot of weight. You should try and get as many as you can.
Who is this Bishop Yaroslav?
I've never heard of him before, but the prior has. He said he's very well learned and the Bishop of Sarepta.
Sarepta? Where's that, Moravia?
No, it's far, far away, near the Holy Land. He got the title from the Holy Father himself.
Titular bishop? Like he's not a real one?
It's, let's say, an honorary title. It refers to a diocese that no longer exists. And since a titular bishop has no diocese to oversee, he can devote himself to handling other very important church affairs, like ordaining other prelates, for example, to maintain succession through the centuries down from the time of Christ and his apostles.
And this bishop came all the way here from whatever?
Sarepta, but I doubt he's ever been there. It used to be a bishopric in the days of the Apostolic Fathers in Phoenicia, near Israel, but it was ransacked by the Muslims. Now it's just a titular bishopric, and Yaroslav is the titular bishop.
I can't. I just can't.
What exactly does an inquisitor do?
The Inquisition is a papal institution that deals with heresy, so people don't succumb to charlatans, false prophets and deceptions, and put their faith and their immortal souls in jeopardy. The Inquisitors have all sorts of powers, the kind we here can do very little to stand up to.
And what can he do to Johanka?
I'm not entirely sure. These legal issues are very complicated, but he could certainly excommunicate her, and maybe even sentence her to death.
What actually happened here?
Johanka told me you went to Auschwitz?
Yeah? What's that got to do with anything?
The Inquisitor showed up here not long after you left. Apparently he heard about Johanka's preaching somehow. He even observed one of her sermons outside the town in disguise. He had her brought to him and spent a long time trying to discourage her from what she was doing. But then she went out again to preach about her visions outside of town. But before she even started, the Inquisitor turned up with Fabian and the guards. He said Johanka had ignored his outright ban, and he had her taken away. Then he warned the people there that Johanka was spreading heresy and undermining the church's authority, and forbade them to listen to her.
It sounds pretty serious.
It is. I'm afraid it could be very serious indeed.
I can't sleep again.
Do you believe Johanka is really being visited by the Virgin Mary?
Well, yes, Henry, I do. The things she says and the way she speaks. She doesn't sound like herself at all. I know she can't read, so where else could she have got it? Frankly, I can't think of any other explanation, within the bounds of this world. May the Lord watch over you.
Yeah.
Trampled our cabbages 3 times already.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I hope I can be of help to you, Knight. See you later.
He can't stand the smell of garlic, hates mustard, and bacon is intolerant.
We had it in Prague and he said it was delicious.
All right, so I'll try it. And if he doesn't like it, I'll lock him in the hen coop so he'll have a proper appetite next time.
Today, to put a smile on your face.
You'll never see such fine meat.
I feel quite hungry.
to have a life. It's the law. What do you...
Hey, who's there?